Hello from Portland. I mentioned before on a video that I've been listening to the new album by Macklemore, which I love. I've listened to it over and over again, and I realized as I'm listening to it that it's been a long time since I actually downloaded an entire album. And it made me sort of think back. And let me say first off, there's a lot of misplaced nostalgia about albums. The current music world where you can download songs from all over the world, from all different people, is amazing and so much better than the ways we had of accessing music when I was younger. One of the most irritating things about the old days of albums is you would hear a song on the radio, it was really good, you'd buy the album would be mostly eh. And you'd kind of have all these songs that you didn't want to hear, or even worse, you would have a song you liked and then like 3 songs that were not very good and then a song you liked, so you'd have to either suffer through the songs you didn't like or pick up the needle and physically move it, which ended up scratching your records and was just a drag. So that was a special kind of annoyance, but it also gave rise to a special kind of pleasure, which is when you found an album that you liked all the way through. And that was few and far between, and it was just, it still sticks in my mind, the albums that I would listen to that I could put on a record player and just play. The first album I remember really loving unconditionally, unequivocally, was Cyndi Lauper's She's So Unusual. And Cyndi Lauper in a lot of ways was the first musician I ever just felt a strong connection to. I don't mean I stalked her or stood outside her window. I mean I just fell completely in love with her voice. I still think her voice is amazing. I thought her lyrics were really honest and poetic and beautiful. But She's So Unusual is just full of songs that that you can't stop listening to, that are moving and fun and sometimes a little bit provocative for the time. Obviously, Time After Time is probably my favorite song of all time. Girls Just Want to Have Fun is an amazingly joyful, liberating song. And then there's a cover of a Prince song called When You Were Mine. It's still one of my favorite songs to listen to. It's just got this perfect distillation of obsession and jealousy and how kind of pathetic you can become when you love someone who doesn't love you back. The other album from around that time that sticks in my memory was the soundtrack to Purple Rain. Prince was probably the most innovative and insanely talented musician working, and the whole movie is basically just an excuse to play songs. And I'll tell you how good this album is. This album is so good that when I first saw Purple Rain, I thought it was a good movie. And I went back and watched it as an adult, and it's a terrible movie. Oh my God. Morris Day is really fun. Everything about the writing and acting is absolutely excruciatingly bad. But the music is transcendent. Every song is so powerful, so personal, and yet so brilliantly written and executed. Obviously, as you get older, you're less connected to pop music, or most people are. I won't generalize. As I've gotten older, I've become less connected to pop music. So the albums I'm talking about are from when I was a teenager, basically. With one exception. There's I've always loved Green Day quite a lot. I started listening to Green Day in college. Around 2004, Green Day released an album called American Idiot, which is kind of a concept album. It's not quite as ponderous as a lot of concept albums from back in the 70s, but it tells a more or less coherent story about post 9/11 America. So there's songs like American Idiot and Holiday that are totally legitimate pop songs, but also connect to a lot of what was going on at the time. The side note on this album, and one of the things that makes it stick in my memory, is that when Carter was just starting to talk, we would play this album all the time and in the car, and we loved it, and he grew to love it. And as he learned to talk, he would demand to hear the album, but he couldn't say American Idiot, so he would just scream from the back seat, "Idiot, idiot!" And like somebody would get in the car, and my child would start screaming "idiot" at me, and it would usually rattle them, but I knew what he meant. He wanted to hear American Idiot. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.